What do you do when it's your weekend to get to go fishing? You get up in the morning and find out that the place you're fishing is high, murky, and flooded out. You can still catch fish, and we're going to show you how. Fox Sports Outdoors is on the air right now.
You're watching the only program with weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southeast region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
Hi everybody, I'm glad you're with us for this week's episode. It's going to be a lot of fun and an interesting challenge in the next half hour. We are coming to you today on a gorgeous, sunshiny day on a flooded lake. I'd like to welcome you in to big, beautiful Lake Texoma. It's a sprawling, man-made reservoir on the Oklahoma-Texas border, and it's loaded with all kinds of fish: crappie, largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, giant blue catfish. Today we're going fishing for stripers. That's what this lake is famous for. But come around here with me. I want to show you something. This lake is way up as we're coming to you on this episode. As you can see back here behind me, all these boathouses back here are completely flooded out. You can't even get to the walkways. You can't even get to those boathouses. Here's where the water level is right now. It's all the way up in the parking lot. Normally it's way out there. The boat ramp is way out there. As a matter of fact, I'm going to have to launch the boat right here on the parking lot. So we're going to learn a couple of things about murky water and high flooded water today and striper fishing. It's going to be a lot of fun. While we're out doing that, we're taking you around your local region for this week's fishing reports from our expert team of insider reporters from lakes, rivers, and bays, both saltwater and freshwater, right in your backyard. Right now, the NITRO Z20 gets launched right on the parking lot at Lake Texoma. Next time you see me, I'm out there striper fishing right now. We get things started back at the FSN studios and your weekend planner.
Hey everyone, it looks like both days of the weekend will offer good fishing conditions. The Solunar tables are indicating peak activity will take place roughly around high noon and midnight both days. The sun will rise at 6:21 and set at 8:39. And expect to see a full moon this Sunday, helping to light the way for any nighttime fishing. We're coming right back with fishing updates from around the area. Plus, I'll return with MLF angler and TV personality Mike Iaconelli to answer your Ask the Pro question. More in a minute.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Lew's. Feel the difference. Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland. The best in bass and crappie lures, heads to tails. Glacier Glove. Stay outdoors longer with our gloves, hats, and shades. Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. Request our free 2019 fishing guide at orangebeach.com.
Get in my net. There we go. Oh, look at that. And he inhaled my spoon. There he is, there he is. Oh my gosh, he hit it. He hit it on the way down. Hey, welcome back everybody. We are on Texoma, and I have parked myself on the most gigantic school of stripers you've ever seen. They are just absolutely blacking out my Lowrance HDS live screen. And I'm just throwing out there and cranking through them. Oh, that's a big old fish right there. That's a nice striper. He is putting up a tussle on my TP1 Black Lew's rod right here. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to loosen the drag and let him run a little bit. Good Lord. We're fishing in some pretty muddy water today. You know, I tend to shy away from muddy water. A lot of anglers do. But you know, these fish live in mud all the time. And you've got the Washita River that's pretty muddy that comes in here, and then you've got the Red River, which is obviously muddy. Look at that. Big old striper. Get in my net. There we go. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah. Oh, there's your muddy water striper right there. And he inhaled my spoon. Thank you for the bite, partner. We appreciate it. All right, well, let me tell you the pattern we're working today. We're working a ledge pattern. What we've got is we're near where the Red River and the Washita River actually meet. And we've got rock ledges that run out from the shore, and they run out to about 15 or 20 feet, and then boom, they drop straight off into the river channel. You throw it up on the ledge, let it go to the bottom, crank it up a little bit, and let it fall right along the edge, right on the sharp edge of that ledge, and that's right where these stripers seem to be working today. All right, let's get loose and see if we can get another one.
Well, snapper fishing is wide open along the Gulf Coast, but first, this from our good friends at Foreshore Transportation. Foreshore Transportation, the simple solution to all your freight hauling needs. Foreshore can ship freight across the country or across the state. Whatever the load, wherever the destination, Foreshore gets it done fast, safe, and hassle-free. Well, it's red snapper time along the Gulf Coast of Mississippi and Alabama. The fishing is outstanding. Limits two per person per day, and fish up to 20 pounds are being caught. Most of these fish are in 40 to 120 feet of water. Carolina rigs with menhaden live baits are pretty standard for catching these snapper, and a lot of times a cobia will be cruising the outside edges of these reefs, and they'll take those big live baits too. Also, Mississippi bull redfish trolling is excellent along the south side of the island, barrier islands there, and in Georgia, Captain Tim Cutting out at St. Simon's Island says redfish are scattered throughout his area in the creeks. Sharks and Spanish mackerel are thick along the southeast coast. They're hanging around those pogey pods that are moving up the beaches, and the tarpon fishing is good around the same areas, and it's going to get better and better through the summer. Well, that's it for the southeast coast. Get out in the water and take a youngster with you when you go.
There's one. Man, they're biting. You know, let me talk to you just a second about mud. I don't know that I've caught a lot of stripers in mud, but I'm learning that they're not scared of it, and they'll still feed in the mud. If you live in a place and the water muddies up and you've got a good population of stripers, don't be too worried about whether you can catch any or not, because you can. That's another good fish. Wow, we've caught some good sized fish today. Look at that one. Go in my net. Go in my net. There we go. I'm catching these fish on my burning technique, or my swimming technique, with a spoon and a swim bait. I'll show you what that means momentarily. See, I'm using my glacier gloves. Always wear them, but especially when you're fishing for line-sided fish. They've got a real sharp gill plate right there, and I've had it just literally take big gouges out of my hand before. So these glacier gloves do a great job with those leather palms, and they just protect me from getting cut and finned by these fish. These fish are real skinny right now, but they're still very aggressive and feeding up big time. All right, let that one go back. So what I'm doing is I'm throwing it out there on a big long cast. And that spoon is heavy enough where I just let it free spool. I leave my spool open. I don't click it back into gear. Let it go to the bottom, and once it gets to the bottom, and then what I'm doing is just making a slow, steady swim with it. So I go swim, swim, about like that, about that speed, about 7 turns, push the button, let it go back to the bottom. Once it hits bottom, again, a slow, steady swim. And that spoon just kind of darts around, swims around like that. These stripers can't stand it. Lake Texoma, if you've never been here, this thing, number one, is just loaded with stripers, but it goes through cycles. There he is, there he is. Got him. That one hit way out there. Hey everybody, we're still on Texoma. We're on the Oklahoma-Texas border today, striper fishing in some really off-colored water. I'm just catching some good average-sized stripers. That's a wide body right there. And that one hit my big spoon. Get in here, buddy. There we go. Now the fun starts. When you get them in the net and you got hooks flopping around everywhere. That one hit my big spoon, about a 5-inch spoon. There you go, just a good solid fish. You know, Lake Texoma, if you've never been here, this thing, number one, is just loaded with stripers, but it goes through cycles. This lake has had years, like back in 2015, they had a giant flood here. It's a flood control lake, and they let this thing get 20 or 30 feet high. They'll let it catch water and then gradually release it downstream down the Red River to keep from flooding downstream. These fish are resilient. They went through a few years where you almost couldn't catch a striper here. It was just ridiculous. And the guides and the locals wondered if the fish were gone. A lot of them maybe went over the spillway, over the emergency spillway. A couple of years later, things settled out and the fish came right back. And they don't really stock stripers in this lake, so they spawn up the Ouachita and Red River arms of the lake. It's one of the few places in Texas particularly where the fish actually have enough running river to spawn in and reproduce, but they do. Just very resilient lake though, can go through all the flooding that it goes through, the lake can come back to normal, and the fishing can just be fantastic like it is right now. And it's made a huge comeback.
Hey folks, I got a great Carolinas report to share with you this week, and it's brought to you by Crazy Sister Marina in the Marsh Walk and Murrells Inlet. We're the leader in water sports, and we have been for years. We can take care of everything you want to do. We've got great eco tours, kayak rentals, jet ski rentals, and of course, our great New Inlet Princess, the best, most producing head boat you'll find in the Carolinas. I'm going to talk freshwater this week, and I tell you, we've got a lot of fish moving back to the rivers, back to those deeper areas. Early in the morning, get out there with that top water, you can find those fish up in the shallows. As the day heats up, those fish are going to move deeper. Shaky head, Carolina rig worm, anything like that, even a crankbait getting out there in that deeper water. I tell you what, Captain Jason Bennett continues to put great numbers of stripers on the docks there on Lake Murray. You've got to book a trip with him or get up there and do it yourself. Live bait tends to be the bait to go for right now. As we move later into June and into July, those fish are going to move into that 70, 80 foot of water. Those big spoons are the trick. This has been your Carolinas report, brought to you by the Crazy Sister Marina. Remember, fish smarter, not harder, and keep your chaos organized.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by MotorGuide's wireless and easy-to-use XI3. Waypoint Marine, the Gulf Coast's leading saltwater boating specialist. Strike King, tie one on. NITRO Performance Fishing Boats, because champions aren't born, they're made.
Look at that. We are hammering them today, folks, I'm telling you. There he is. Man, this is fun. We are having a great time on Texoma today. I tell you, the fish are good size, they're hard fighting, and we're kind of exploding a myth right now. There's a myth that some folks have about striper fishing, that you've got to catch them early and late. Be up early in the morning and late in the evening. Well, we're right in the middle of the afternoon. Bright sunshine, high sky, blue sky, and we're still catching them. So, so much for anybody. Oh, that's a decent fish. So much for any idea that you can't catch them in the middle part of the day. Oh yeah, that's a decent fish. All right. Yeah, let's grab him out of this net. Oh, I got it loose. There we go. Just another decent sized striper for you. Well, if you want to use these same principles, let's see. You can use these principles anywhere there are stripers. The concept of the murky or muddy water, the burning technique that we're using on the spoons, the fishing the ledges and the points and the underwater drop-offs, all that stuff applies anywhere there are stripers, including right where you live. Now, if you want to come here, Dan Barnett, he and Jacob run a great guide service here at Texoma. You can contact them at the information you see on your screen. They've got several boats. They can accommodate families, corporate trips, family reunions, whatever you need, these guys can put you on them. The other thing is, if you want to stay at a great place, Tanglewood Resort is the place you want to stay. That's where we stay every time we come up here. Beautiful place overlooking the lake, gorgeous scenery. They've got all the boat slips there. They've got great restaurants, great rooms. They've even got a fantastic golf course. if you'd like to bring the clubs along and play 18 holes while you're here. What a great place for a vacation.
Hey guys, this week's Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama report is brought to you by Bass Mafia. Look no farther if you're looking for the top-notch tackle storage on the market. From technical, super technical stuff to just super innovative stuff, and it's a one-time purchase. Their stuff is built to last. Check them out online at mafiaoutdoors.com. In Mississippi right now, the bass are really biting on Ross Barnett. A great frog bite and a great chatterbait bite around the emergent vegetation. In Alabama right now, hearing a ton of reports from buddies of mine that are fishing the Warrior River. They're catching a ton of big fish, the river that doesn't get talked about a whole lot. A lot of fish being caught on plastics, a lot of fish being caught on a spinner bait. In Tennessee, I'm gonna go to a place that I don't hardly ever talk about on here, and that is Old Hickory Lake. The fishing over there this year is really good. You can go up the lake and catch them shallow, you can go down the lake and catch them offshore. Come on out, hang out with us, let's catch some fish while you're here. We'd love to see you. God bless.
There he is, got another one. Got another one. Oh, that's another good fish. Wow, hold on, Big Daddy. Let's see if I can get it, slip him in the net. Look at that fish. Look at that fish. Oh, I've got it. That's a big one. That's a big one, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this big dude. Wow. And the spoon just came out of his mouth. Oh, look at that. we are hammering them today, folks, I'm telling you. And I got to tell you, we're using the new Lowrance side imaging, active imaging technology that's helping us find these fish. And I want to explain what's happening and how that's happening, but let's get this fish back in the water. Oh. I didn't get all the fight out of him. So what we're doing is I've got my Lowrance HDS Live set on side imaging. We're looking out both sides of the boat, and we're driving around on these ledges, and we're finding the schools of fish. We're seeing them, and those fish are like 40 feet off the side of the boat. We circle around, kill the engine, drop the XI5 trolling motor, the MotorGuide, and lock it on anchor lock. It holds us in position, and we're able to cast right into that same school of fish that we're finding on the active imaging. It is cool technology. It allows you to see detail, higher resolution at much greater distances than we've ever been able to see it before. You can see these schools of fish up to 100 feet off to either side of the boat. So I'm actually scanning 200 feet of water looking for these schools of fish. It's really cool. One other thing I want to show you, my brother caught a big one. He was up there in the front. You saw I'm in the back. I let my brother, who's running the camera for us, have the front of the boat. He made a few casts and immediately hooked up with a big striper. This has been one wild day out here. This is the big old school that we're on. That's really cool.
You can always watch our latest episode on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Catch up on past episodes and learn about fishing techniques and new gear at our how-to page. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter for new fishing videos every day. Simply search for Fox Sports Outdoors and click the like button on Facebook and the follow button on Twitter. And watch a new episode every week on any device by downloading the free Waypoint TV app on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Mercury, Go Boldly, Lowrance, America's #1 fish finder, Balls Out, made in the USA, heavy-duty mounts for your fish finders.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Ask the Pro question, where we get a chance for insight from professional anglers. This week, Glenn wants to know, what is something you can do after going a long time without getting any bites? To get the answer, we checked with Mike Iaconelli.
When you go a long time, if you go 4 hours without a bite, your mind starts to wander. You know, you start to doubt what you're doing. I'll give you a little tip on what I do when you go a long time without a bite that helps you zone back in and focus. And this is going to sound a little strange, but I'm going to give it to you. I want you to become the bait. I want you to imagine that you are the bait. If you're fishing a worm, a jig, a crankbait, whatever you're fishing, As you're dragging that lure and reeling that bait, feel for every movement. Feel as it comes through the water. Feel as it goes over every little rock and stick. Become the bait. When you do that, it really helps you to refocus, and before you know it, you'll have another bite and another fish in the boat.
Thank you, Mike. If you have a question to ask one of the pros, just visit our website, click on the Ask the Pro link, and let us know. Now let's see who wins this week's Big Catch of the Week.
We are back at the boat ramp, and it's time right now for this week's winner in the Big Catch of the Week contest. He is Matthew Into of Effingham, Georgia, showing off a 42-inch redfish he caught at Ossabaw Sound, Georgia. If you'd like to be our next winner, just go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Fox Sports Outdoors, find last Tuesday's post, click comment, attach your big fish photo, and give us all the particulars about where the fish was caught, your name, your address, all that information, and you just might be our next winner. Next up, here's the gear we used to catch these big old stripers on this week's episode, beginning with the rod and reel I used. It's perfect for this. It's the Loose TP1 Black Speed Stick rod, and this particular rod is a 7-foot 2-inch medium heavy action. Did a great job on those big fish, and the reel is specifically made for big fish. This is the Loose Super Duty 300. It's the newest in the Super Duty line. Got big gears, big handle, everything you need to winch in big fish like the big stripers we caught this week. As far as the baits were concerned, we basically used spoons this week. There's a big 5-inch swimming type spoon, chartreuse and white color, and a little smaller 3/4 ounce jigging type spoon. Some of the greatest satisfaction I get is trying to fix stuff. Ever since I was a little kid, I enjoyed taking stuff apart, fixing it, and putting it back together. Now I work on my own plumbing at home, I work on stuff on the boat, I take things apart, put them back together. It's fun, it exercises my brain, and it saves a few bucks at the same time. We live in a disposable society. Pretty much every time something breaks, we throw it in the trash and we buy a new one. Next time something breaks around your house, why don't you give it a shot? Get out the tools, the super glue, look at some YouTube videos, and see if you can fix it. You might just be surprised at what you can do. I hope you enjoyed our striper fishing trip here at Lake Texoma today on a great fishing day. If you'd like to contact Dan Barnett and book a guide trip here, there's his contact information once again at the bottom of your screen. They've got several boats, several guides, and they can put you on these fish. And if you want a great place to stay, Tanglewood Resort is your location. It's right on the shores of the lake. It's got a marina, beautiful restaurants, beautiful hotel rooms, pools, golf course, everything you could want in one location, and you can book your stay at Tanglewood Resort at the information you see at the bottom of your screen. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you next week. Until then, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.